ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। So in the last class we were studying the 4th to the 7th, from the 4th to the 7th verse of the 7th chapter of Shrimad Bhagavad Gita. So in these verses what we saw, that the reality can be divided, the ultimate reality can be divided into two departments, as if two departments. What are they? One is the reality which is perceived through the senses. I take the perception through the senses to be true, that I take the credential of the senses to be true, and what the senses are showing me, that's the reality. That's one part. The other part which was spoken of is beyond the sensate level, the conscious principle which is behind this existence. That's the another aspect of reality. So, and we find that two terms has been used, apara and para. Apara means that which is not supreme. Para, in Sanskrit, the word para means supreme. So this, all the perceptions of the sensate world which we are having, which we take to be the reality, that actually is considered as apara. Because all these perceptions, all these day-to-day dealings is possible because behind it the conscious principle is there as the foundation, as the underlying factor based on which the entire projection is happening. So that is the para prakriti, the supreme. So we saw this. Having said this, then we think that as if these are the only two aspects of reality. But after saying this, we found that that's the speciality of Bhagavad Gita. That when we study Vedanta, when we study the Upanishads, the idea is the consciousness, and consciousness alone is the substratum of this entire existence. The entire existence which we see is a superimposition on that. It is appearing. It's not the tangible reality the way we think it. And there it ends. But what's the speciality of Bhagavad Gita? He says that these are the two aspects of reality which is not the be-all and end-all. Beyond that, Sri Krishna is identifying himself with the ultimate reality in whom both these aspects are strung together, just the way the thread of the garland. The thread of the garland strings all the beads in it to make the garland. So he is the reality, he is the thread in whom both the para and the para prakriti is strung together. In him is the para as well as the apara. So that we found in the 7th verse. What the verse mentioned? Matta paratarang nanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya mai sarvamidang protang sutre manigana iva. So just as the way that the sutra, in the thread, all the beads, the manis, all the gems are strung together to form the garland. So the entire existence is like the garland. I am the thread. Both the para and the apara prakriti are the beads in which the entire existence is strung together. This is the idea in the Bhagavad Gita which we will get again and again. The 15th chapter is named as Purushottama Yoga. That if you take the Sankhya philosophy, what's the idea? That Prakriti is there, the nature, And what is the Purusha? There are innumerable Purushas. Each and every individual is a conscious entity, and they constitute the Purusha. And Prakriti is here. This Purusha and the Prakriti are the dual aspects of the reality. But in the 15th chapter, when we will proceed to that chapter, we will find Bhagavan is saying, Krishna is saying that I am the Purushottama, the Supreme Purusha, of whom this Purusha and the Prakriti forms the part. I am something beyond that. So this is the idea which we find is unique in Bhagavad Gita. And in a way, this idea do give the Hinduism a wholesome philosophy. Why? If you take Vedanta, in Vedanta the consciousness is the ultimate reality, where this existence is superficial, it is something superimposed on that. So if that's the paradigm, that's the way we look at the existence, then what happens? Our entire spiritual journey is to somehow transcend this world of name and form and to be always absorbed in the conscious principle, which speaks of as if running away from life. This is not reality. This is something which is just a superimposition. The consciousness alone is the real. I have to get identified with that. Whether you speak of Vedanta, whether you speak of the Sankhya and Yoga philosophy, the ultimate reality speaks of as if running away from life. Even the Bhagavad Gita starts with that. Arjuna was trying to run away from life. That I don't want this battle, all this battle. I am okay, it's okay for me to accept the defeat, and I just want to be a recluse. It is that at that juncture the Bhagavad Gita starts. So if you take the so-called Sankhya philosophy, even the Vedanta, there is no question of facing the challenges of life, coming to the battlefield. So Bhagavan here gives a very composite philosophy. What he does is something wonderful. He denies not a single philosophy. All the philosophies he takes together, synthesizes them, and from that comes this philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita, which is the harmony of all the philosophies. In a wonderful way he has done. What he's saying? The ultimate reality is something beyond both the consciousness as well as a thing which is apparent. He is not denying that it is an apparent. It is apparent. In Vedanta, the question of ignorance comes where? That why the consciousness has become this reality, I don't know. That is ignorance. But you can go back to the conscious principle again. But why it has happened, I don't know. Even in Buddhism, the same idea is there. Though they don't speak of the consciousness, they speak of this reality, something which is a flow. How it came, we don't know, but we can go beyond it. And Buddha gives a very nice example that why you are so much bothered, that why the ultimate reality is finding expression as something which is apparent. Why? Well, there's no answer to it. And he gives a very nice example, and why you are bothered about it. He says, suppose you are passing through a forest, from nowhere an arrow comes and strikes you, pierces you, and it is a poisoned arrow. Now what's your duty? Should you sit down and think why someone should shoot me an arrow? What poison he has used? Means he's speaking about the nature of that arrow, the nature of the poison. If you just go on, try to analyze all these your questions, that why someone should, what's the intention behind it, what poison he has used, you will die. Your immediate duty is to forget about all those things. Somehow I have to get rid of the arrow and save myself. So that's my duty. So here also, ignorance, how it came, we cannot answer. Swami Vivekananda, in his very first lecture on Hinduism, he read a paper on Hinduism in Chicago. The first lecture, of course, is a famous lecture, that 7 minutes lecture, not that. After that, in another session, he was asked to give a deliberation on Hinduism, and that's a wonderful paper on Hinduism, in which Swamiji says that in all the religions, we try to find the answer of why this creation has happened. Vedanta gives a very bold answer that why the perfect become imperfect. They simply say, we don't know. We don't know. Just the way when you are dreaming, in the dream, can you ask the question that why I am dreaming? After all, these things are not real. It's only when the dream breaks, I can know that, yeah, I was dreaming. Within the dream, I can never ask that question, that why I am dreaming. So when you are already in ignorance, it is impossible to answer why I am in ignorance. When the ignorance breaks, I can know, oh, I was in ignorance. When I was dreaming, I wake up, I know, oh, I am the same person as I was before the dream. In dream, all sorts of nonsense I was saying. Only when the dream breaks, you know. So similarly here Vedanta says, only an enlightened person, when he comes out of this ignorance, he knows all this phenomenal existence is apparent. The consciousness alone is real. So it came out of ignorance. So here, running away from this life is as if the only solution to get established in that ignorance, into that conscious principle. But what Bhagavad Gita says, it takes the ignorance to a different level. He says there is a being. In one aspect, he is a conscious principle. It is he who willingly comes out from that conscious principle and as if encapsulates himself in this ignorance. And it is his divine Leela. He does it just in a playful way. Why he does that we don't know. So same, the ignorance is also coming here into picture. But the ignorance is why that ultimate reality, who is consciousness and consciousness alone, is finding expression as this world of name and form. So there the ignorance lies. I don't know why. He is the Maya, Dhish is beyond this Maya. I am within this Maya, of which these are the two aspects. The consciousness is also an aspect. So here you will find it is not in any way the question of running away from life it comes. As I take that the Lord is the ultimate reality, he transcends this Maya as well as the conscious principle. What happens then? That yes, through meditation, when I am established in that conscious principle, the world has obliterated for me. I am one with the Lord. And when I come down from that state, again I relate to this world. There is no question of running away. It is the Lord who has found expression as the consciousness as well as the world. So though this apparent world is something which is being superimposed on the consciousness, but it has a reality. Why? Because it is the same Lord who willfully has found expression as this world. So I know very well that it is the same consciousness which is finding expression as this world because of the will of the Lord. The reason behind which I don't know. I cannot decipher the will of the Lord. But as this world is also a manifestation of the Lord, it is also a part of the reality, though it may be a lower reality, but still it's a reality. I interact with it from a different paradigm. What's the paradigm? That when I was absorbed in consciousness, I was one with the reality. When I come down, I open my eyes, I see the same reality in each and everything. As you will find that this idea is also there in the Upanishads. Like the Isha Upanishad starts with an idea. Isha avasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat. So no question of running away. I come down, only my vision has changed. Previously I was taking the world as a tangible reality. Now I know it is the Lord and Lord alone who is manifesting himself as the universe. So whatever I see is the Lord and Lord alone. So all my interactions now become what? A part of my spirituality. So spirituality is no more a part-time affair. That when I am meditating, when I am sitting in my shrine, trying to commune with the divine, that is spiritual. The moment I wake up, get up from my seat of meditation, interact with the world, that is secular. That's what we do. For us, spirituality is a part-time affair. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, that our spirituality is before breakfast. In the morning I wake up, have my morning ablutions, take my shower, and then if I am a devotee, I have a special set of cloth. I wear it. There is a corner in my house where the shrine is, the altar is. I go and do a set of rituals. Maybe do some arati, offer flowers, offer incense, offer some Naivedyam. I'm in a total different, sublimated mood. Then come out from the meditation room. Now it's time for me to go to the office. I change my dress. I wear my everyday dress, sit in the dining table for having my breakfast, and now my mind has totally changed. Oh, what all assignments I have, how I have to deal with such and such clients, and all those things come. And these are belonging to the world which has nothing to do with the spirituality. So that's why Sri Ramakrishna is saying, our spirituality is just before breakfast. Jalojog Purjanta. It need not be. If we are spiritual, it has to be a 24/7 affair. And there Bhagavad Gita shows the way. That when I come down, my office, my work field, everything is again the manifestation of the divine. All my interactions are interaction with the divine. So now that too becomes a worship. And if we can do in a worshipful attitude, my entire life becomes spiritual. Not only that, all the external conflicts, that also takes a total different paradigm. I find there is no enemy. I may have to deal with a person very strongly, but I know that is the mode of worship which the Lord wants me to do. Like in Bhagavatam, this idea is there. You know that Bhishma, being a devotee of Krishna, he is there to fight with Krishna. And when he's lying on the bed of arrows, what he's saying, you know? That, oh Lord, you wanted that I should be fighting with you. In that you get the pleasure. That was my duty. That was what I was doing. So that's the total change in the paradigm. Whatever I'm doing, I'm fighting with the Lord, but I know He's not my enemy. He is the Lord whom I worship. This is the mode of action which has to be taken. The teacher in the classroom may have to sometimes scold the student, have to warn the student, but the teacher should know that's the word, that's how the Lord wants to be treated as the student, as the child. So this worshipful attitude, what will happen? I deal with the world as Sri Ramakrishna says, that when the need be, you hiss, but don't inflict poison. That the story, he says, very interesting, that you will find these wonderful meanings in these stories. That someone comes and asks that as a householder, how can I practice total non-violence? It's impossible. There are so many persons who may harm me. And then Sri Ramakrishna says this parable, wonderful parable. That in a village, a snake was there which used to stay in a hole under a big, huge banyan tree. So no one used to go near because that snake was extremely, that has tremendous rage. Whomever it will see, it will, without any provocation, it will go and attack. So the villagers knew that no one should be there. Even the children never used to go near that place. So one day this brahmachari was passing by that way. And all the villagers warned, please don't go that way. Don't go that way. And then they said, why? That is a snake is there. That's very, very virulent. It is very violent. It will attack you unprovoked. Then this brahmachari told, don't bother. I have a mantra. I can keep it at peace. And when the brahmachari approaches that snake, it had that power with the mantras. It could make it calm. It could make it calm. And then it asked the snake that, why are you so violent? Why without reason you go on attacking people? Be non-violent. Be calm. I will give you a mantra. You practice it and that will bring a spiritual transformation in you. Do the japa and don't harm anyone. These are the two things you do. That repeat the mantra and don't harm anyone. And for saying this, the brahmachari left that place. Now the villagers saw that even if they approach the snake, it is in no way attacking them. So one day the small children, out of fun, started throwing stones on it. And the snake got very badly injured. It was almost about at the verge of dying. The villagers thought it is dead because it was lying motionless. All these small boys left. And when they left, this snake regained its consciousness and somehow managed to go into the hole again. It was badly injured. And then it made it a point that in the daytime, when the peoples are near, I shouldn't come out of the hole. At night, it used to come out and used to feed on dry leaves to sustain itself, and used to do his spiritual practice. After a couple of years, the brahmachari again came that way and was inquiring about the snake. The villagers told it has died. These boys one day, out of just mischief, they threw stone. It was badly hurt and it has died. But the brahmachari knew that until that snake attains the siddhi, perfection in his spiritual journey through that mantra, it is not going to die. It must be alive. So it goes near that tree and calls his disciple. The snake somehow manages, hearing his guru's voice, somehow manages to come out of the hole. And then the guru asks, what has happened to you? Now he became so non-violent that he even forgot that he was actually harmed by these young boys. He told, oh, most probably I feed on these dried leaves. That's why I have become a bit emaciated. He told, no, that cannot be the reason. Maybe something else has happened. And then he remembers. He told, yeah, years ago, after you left, these boys one day out of fun started throwing stones on me. After all, they are all innocent boys. I don't never blame them, but it is because of that I got so badly injured. And that is the cause for which I look so emaciated. And then the guru, instead of praising him, admonished the snake, saying, I have asked you not to harm others. That's true. I have asked you not to inflict poison on others. But have I ever told you not to hiss? You could have raised your hood and hissed. So these stories have wonderful meaning. See here also, that how can we practice that? What's the attitude behind that? That yes, if everything is a manifestation of the divine, the question of having any sort of animosity with others is not possible. I am not in any way having any sort of this animosity with others. It's just the Lord wants me to interact with the world in certain way. I am doing as per my role, as per my responsibilities, but I am having a worshipful attitude. After all, in no way I have any sort of enmity with anyone else. So you just see the entire paradigm changes, the entire life, and of course whatever he is doing is trying to do for the good of the entire world. That's why in Bhagavad Gita 2nd chapter the idea of Loka Sangraha comes. From where otherwise there cannot be any spiritual significance of that. That why should I try to integrate the society, all the activities here, all the people. This Loka Sangraha speaks of Abhyudaya, the social upliftment. Why should I think of that? Unless I see the Lord alone in entire existence. So here this chapter also speaks of that samagrang ma, that idea was there. If you have to know me in totality, know that this both the para and the apara are the two aspects of reality, and I am above that, just like a thread. I am in me strung both these prakritis. If the entire existence is a garland, I am the string, they are like the beads. After saying this, now Sri Krishna from the 8th to the 12th, these verses, what he will do? Now specifically, he will try to say that how he is in everything, as the essence of everything. So there are in this chapter, from the 8th to the 12th verse, and again in the 10th chapter, which is called Vibhuti Yoga, that Lord will try to explain in details that how, as the power, as the essence behind the existence, he is there in each and everything in this world. As we find Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to say when he came from his realization, he was deep in his meditation, and from that when he came out, that is Vyuthana, coming out of that meditation, then his total vision has changed. What he is saying? Jatra jatra netra pade, tatra tatra Krishna sphure. That wherever my vision goes, in whatever it falls, I see as if Krishna popping out from everything. Even Sri Ramakrishna, we find the same thing. He used to say, that how I see this world in a rainy season, as you see the grass in the grass field, it is totally saturated with water. You walk, you will find it is saturated with water. I see the entire existence saturated with consciousness. So that's the vision which has changed. It's not like ours. They see the Lord behind the entire existence as if popping out from everywhere. And that's the essence of the Lord, which the Lord himself will explain that how, as the essence, he is existing in the entire creation. So from the 8th to the 12th in this chapter, so in details, he will try to explain that. So let us now enter into the 8th verse. What it is saying? Raso aham apsu kaunteya prabhasmi shashi suryaya pranava sarva vedeshu shabda khe paurushan rishu. So now, raso aham, so let us go to the literal meaning. That I am the rasa of in the water. Apsu. In apa is water. In apa, apsu. In water, apa becomes apsu. In apsu, I am the rasa. So anything for having the taste, the fluid, the liquidity is necessary. Just if your tongue is dry, you cannot taste anything. You know that the taste comes from that, the saliva. So the water is related to taste. So I am the taste in water. What is the meaning? That anything, the essence, the way the perceptions are happening, he is the essence of that perception. Prabhasmi shashi surya. I am the prabha, the illumination of the sun, of the moon. Shashi suryaya. So I am the taste in the water. I am the radiance of the sun and the moon. In all the Vedas, I am the pranava, the onkara in all the Vedas. Shabda khe parushan rishu. Again, as I am the sound in ether. So here we find the three things, that all the perceptions which are happening, he is saying I am the essence of perception. I am the Lord of the perception. So what's the idea to understand that? Even in Sanskrit, very interesting, that word devata has two meanings, that all the so-called celestial beings are devata because the word devata came from div dhatu. Div means to illumine. Divya, div means to illumine. So the shining ones. So we have the idea the celestial beings are the shining ones, so they are the devata. But there is another meaning which is very, very interesting. All the indriyas, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the skin, the touch, and the taste, the tongue, these are called devatas. In our these Upanishads also, it is mentioned as devata. Why? Because if you go to the etymological meaning, that anything which illumines is devata. So this entire world is illumined by what? By these five senses. This world is nothing but what I see, what I perceive through the five senses, nothing else. Can I ever perceive magnetism? No, because there is no sense to perceive magnetism. What I perceive through these five senses, that constitutes the reality for me. So he is the devata behind all these perceptions. The div dhatu came from that. Now even very interesting, in Buddhism also this idea is there. It is the senses which is making me see what I am seeing. This idea which we again in the last class we say again and again. This world outside, something is there. But what is there, I can never know. I can never know. Why? Whatever I see is just the projection of the mind through the senses. The common example which we give again and again, I think that the red flower is red. It is not red. The light falls on it, a particular wavelength of light is reflected, it has no color. We say only the red light is reflected. No, it is just a particular wavelength of light that is reflected. It touches the retina of my eye. The function of light is over the moment it touches the retina. It doesn't go to your brain. That is the darkest part. We say that, after all, even science will say that it is the brain through which we are perceiving everything. But is the light entering there? No light. It's the darkest part there. If you were seated there, you will find there is no light. What has happened? When that nerve current touches the retina, immediately that light gets converted into an optical nerve current. What is something like electric current is passing through your optical nerve, which has a particular frequency. When that goes to your brain, to the so-called color perception center, actually color is not perceived. That wavelength of light, the moment it touches the color perception center, the idea of the color was already in your mind. That particular frequency of your nerve current generates the red color, which was already there. That gets manifested. That comes out through your senses, envelops the flower to give you a sensation that it is red. So the redness, which was the idea of redness, which was hidden on your mind, that gets projected through your mind and senses to make you feel that the flower is red. Even in this simple science, we can understand that. So, actually the mind is a projector. It is not something which is perceiving. It is perceiving something. That light wave came, it touched the retina, and it got converted into a wavelength. But that's not what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing the wavelength. What I see is the red. That wavelength, what it's perceiving, that's not it's seeing. What it is projecting, that's what we are seeing. So the mind is acting like a projector, which is projecting these various type of perceptions. Our science is a very poor imitation of what nature has done. Nowadays in the movie theater, when I see a 3D movie, I say, oh, how much science has advanced. But what it is projecting? Only light and sound. In the movie, can project this test. Sitting there, can you test something that is going on in the movie? In the movie, if they just give you a dish of this rasgulla, can you taste the rasgulla? No. Can there be a sense of touch? In the 3D movie, it may so appear that the tiger is pouncing on you. You may get scared. But is there any real touch? No. So only with all this, our science, it's a very poor imitation of nature. However we may brag, the nature has done a wonderful thing. 5 things it is projecting. Science, with all its advancement, at present can do only 2, the light and sound, nothing else. So what we are saying, these all things are the projections of the mind. Whatever I'm seeing, the God is saying I'm the essence of that. So now you find this wonderful thing he's saying. That all this, what is outside there is a hollow. What it is there, I don't know. Something is there. It's just a framework. My senses are illuminating them. I am the essence behind all this illumination. So I am the Devata of all these senses. I am the one who is the essence of all these illumination. You will understand this idea with a wonderful story which we told previously too. That the story of the episode of Aniruddha, one of the cousins of Gautam Buddha. Very interesting episode. That Aniruddha, one of the cousins of Gautam Buddha, he was, because of his past good karma in his previous birth, in this life he was born with a boon, that he is Satya Sankalpa. Whatever he desires as a material things, he is going to get it. Anything he wants, he is bound to get it. He is Satya Sankalpa. Now one day, as a small boy, he was playing with the other cousins, royal cousins. And as they used to play throughout the day, their parents, what they used to do? They used to send the servants with these children, with the lunch box. That whenever they are hungry, you feed them whatever is there in the lunch box. Now these children started, they were playing, and in the process, they thought of gambling. In a childish way, let us gamble with this. We will play some game and gamble. But to gamble with what? They have no currency. They have no, as such, coins. Nothing. But there is only one thing. The servant is sitting with the lunch box. So whatever breads are there, with that we will gamble. Very good. So the game starts. Aniruddha started losing, but he was so much in the game. He started losing and he started giving one bread at a time. That he was just keeping the bet on a bread, and that way, after no time, all the bread was over. The entire pile of bread was over. But he was still in the mood of continuing with the game. So he asked the servant, go to my mother and ask her for more breads. Now the servant returned, and the mother thought most probably Aniruddha is too hungry today. So okay, she again filled the lunchbox with breads. The servant returned. The game was continuing. Again he started losing. All the breads were gone. So now again the second time he again ordered, go to my mother and ask her for more breads. Now the mother understands. It cannot be that my child cannot eat so much. Must be something is going on which is not proper. So now the mother gets a bit annoyed and says, gives the empty lunchbox back to the servant and says, go back to my son and say him, no bread. Enough of bread, no bread. So what to do? The servant is returning back with the empty lunchbox. And now the devatas, so that's this word devata, how in this episode, how this word has been, in both the way it has been used. The so-called celestial beings, they are concerned. Because Aniruddha was born with the boon that he's Satya Sankalpa. What he wants, that has to be fulfilled. And now he's taking this empty lunchbox. His wish won't be fulfilled. So the devatas are concerned. So what they do? They conspiringly, without the knowledge of the servant, they manage to fill the lunchbox with ethereal breads. Wonderful, most wonderful. That's taste you can never even think of in this earth. So it's all those ethereal breads. They fill that lunchbox. Now the servant knows nothing. He goes and gives the lunchbox to Aniruddha and says, mother said, no bread. Now Aniruddha opens the box and has all those celestial breads. And now he was really hungry. He really enjoyed. He never had such wonderful breads. He ate them all, gave the tiffin box back to the servant and said, ask my mother for no breads. The no breads has become an entity for him. So he wants more no breads. So this actually speaks of the way, this is the idea of subjective, this idealism. So we need not go to that philosophy. The idea is there is nothing there. The senses are filling this lunchbox with all these celestial breads. And that's what our world is. Constantly that's the world. It's all of this wonderful world. What is there outside we don't know. There is something. We can never know. What we are seeing is actually the product of your mind, projection of the mind. Even with the science in the modern days, they will say, even if you go to your internet, you search in the TED Talk, a talk of Vikram Seth, a very famous neurologist, the hallucinating the mind. That's his topic, a wonderful topic. Even a very simple way he have tried to explain the neurological findings, which speaks the same truth. So here the Lord, what a wonderful thing is saying. That I am that. The three things in the first verse is mentioned. There's three. That of the water, I am the taste. Of all the celestial bodies, I am the light, Prabha. And of this space, I am the sound. So what actually, he has covered the three perceptions. The hearing, the taste, and the sight. He has covered. So he is the essence of these three perceptions. So that we understand. And the next verse, another two perceptions also he will cover. And the next thing he says is Pranava Sarva Vedeshu, that I am the Omkara of entire Veda. What actually is speaking of? Now entire Veda is actually an index, nothing else. That the Veda, what's the knowledge of the Veda meant for? That why the Veda is there? That to give the knowledge of this perceptual world, the Veda is not there. For that, book is not required. Whatever name I may give to the red flower, everyone sees the same thing. What you see, someone who calls the red as Lal, he also sees the same thing. The experience is the same. So for that, as such, the Vedas is not required. Vedas is there as an index. It is trying to point out something which is not perceived through these senses. Something as the cause is there behind it, the entire Veda. The conscious principle which is behind the existence. That ultimate unmanifested reality which is manifesting as the universe. That consciousness. So it is trying to indicate, the entire Veda is trying to point out to that. Now, when I say it is trying to point to that indivisible reality, then it has to give a nomenclature, a name to it. And you may say throughout the world so many names are there. Some call me God, some call me God, some call me Allah. And even in our religion, some may say that my Kali is the ultimate reality. Some may say my Shiva is the ultimate reality. My Krishna is the ultimate reality. So in Vedas, instead of all these names, we find this Omkara. Why? That Om is the Vachaka of the absolute reality. Why this Omkara? So two things. Very nice. They will find this Vachaka. Why there is a need for a name. There's two things they say. First thing is very interesting. That for all the perceptual knowledge, the language is not important. And that we find that you may say that the red flower as lal or anything else, lohita, whatever you may say, but the perception is same. All are perceiving. There is no difference in the perception, subjective perception. So for the perceptual knowledge, the word is not that important. But for another type of knowledge, the word is very important. It is conceptual knowledge. What's that? Now, very nice example in our Yoga Sutra Vyasa Bhashya, it is there. Very nice example. Suppose an elderly person is holding the hand of a small child and is walking down the street. Unless someone says that he is the father and he is the son, the relation between this elderly person and this young lad is a father and the son. He is the son's father. Without this word father, can just by seeing you can understand that he is the son is impossible. So that's the concept. The concept of father comes here. Without the word, I can never know. So similarly, when I am speaking of the cause behind the existence, the father of the entire existence, word becomes very important. Without the word, I can never relate to that reality. That's why you will find in our scriptures they say, Nam, Nami, Abhed. The name and the one who is having that name is indifferent. Why? Just the way the word father is same to that what you are perceiving, isn't it? The person you are seeing, and when you say father, this word father immediately gives you the knowledge who he is. Without that word, you can never relate to that. So that's why in the scriptures they say that when you are taking the name of the Lord, you are communing with the Lord. Why? The cause is something which is undifferentiated. Unless with the help of Tatastha Lakshana, that in the bank, where is the river? His river is not visible. I see a tall tree, and then I say, you see the tree? Yes. Just by the side of the tree, the bank of the tree, the river is flowing. Tata, on the bank of the river. So similarly, who is there behind this existence? The Father, the Lord. That word, without that word, I can never relate to that. And so when I speak that word, immediately I am relating to that. That's why Nam, Nabi, Abhed. They say when you are taking the name of the Lord, you are communing with the divine. That's the only way. And that's why here also we find that what they are saying, that unless you are relating to that with that word, the entire Veda is pointing to that. And that pointer is being indicated by the word Om. Why they have selected the word Om? Anything else could they have selected? Very interesting. That the ultimate reality, which is the undifferentiated reality, from which all the differentiation in the form of name and form has happened, has to be related by a word which is least undifferentiated. Now just all the alphabets which we pronounce, you will find a wonderful thing. These ideas are so nice that our tongue has to touch different part of the mouth to create the sound of various alphabets. When you are saying ka, kha, ga, gha, you will find for all this ka varga, the middle of your tongue is touching the palate. Ka, kha, ga, gha, isn't it? Ta, ta, da. The tongue has to roll and the tip of the tongue has to touch the palate. Ta, ta, da, da. It's impossible. Without touching the tongue, can you pronounce? Impossible. So all these vargas, the tongue is touching the various parts of the mouth to limit the unlimited sound. What is the unlimited sound? Is the tongue touching anywhere? No. That originates from your throat, which is where the tongue is not touching any part of their mouth, which gets converted into a rolling sensation by oo. Isn't it? Again, is the tongue touching anywhere? No. Ooh. And then the sound without the tongue touching any part of the mouth, just by the lips. Ma. So, this is the sound. A, oo, ma. That om is the most undifferentiated sound which has been taken as a nomenclature for the undifferentiated reality from which the entire existence has come into it. Om. So, just see how the scientific way you can understand that how Om is the essence of the Vedas. The reality which cannot be perceived through the senses. To relate to that, Veda is the pointer, and Veda is using the word Om to point to that. So I am that Om behind all the Vedas. So just you will find that these are not mere just words which has been spoken. There's a wonderful philosophy behind it. So I am the Omkar, the Pranava behind the entire Vedas. And then in this Paurushan Rishu. This again, I am among all the humans. There are so many creations, but among all the humans, that human is that Swami used to say that God is in all beings, but He is most manifested in human beings. So in his words, that human being is this Taj Mahal of all temples. Means what's the idea? That there are so many architectural beauty. I say the Taj Mahal is the most intricate among them. Similarly, among all the living beings, the human being is like a Taj Mahal. Means he is the ultimate manifestation of the divine is through the human. And as a human being, we have certain abilities, certain capabilities, which distinguishes us from all other creatures. All those special capacities has been spoken of as Paurusha. It is not just, nowadays we loosely translate as manliness. And the question of bias comes. Oh, the women are weak, the man thinks themselves as strong, and they're speaking of manliness. No. Here Paurusham means as a human being, we have the certain uniqueness which has made us totally different from other creation, something superior to the other creation. That he's speaking of as the essence of all the humanity, and God is saying, I am that Paurusha. So now let us try to understand what is the uniqueness of human being from other creatures. In one sentence, in one word, we can say, it is a responsibility. You will say, what's that? See that for all other creatures, the stimuli response is fixed. Even in the gospel, they say that two dogs are playing, puppies are playing, and you throw a piece of bread in between them, immediately they will start fighting. Can you think any other response? Impossible. Let one puppy will say, okay, you have the bread, I won't have. Will they say, never, impossible. That is a fixed response. As a human being, we have ability to respond. Response ability. Yes, I have just sat for my lunch and I hear the bell is ringing, the doorbell. I go and open and someone comes and says, I'm extremely hungry. For 2 days I haven't had any food. As a human being, I have the ability to respond. I can say, please go out. Yes, that is also possible. I am having my food. It is not the time for me to share with you. Please, you have your way. Or I can say, I can forsake my meal. I am not going to die. But this person is ravished. For 2-3 days he hasn't taken. Let me forsake my meal. Let me give it to him. This ability, can any other animal have? No. So that's why they say, as a human being, whatever we do, for that karma phala is there. For other beings, there is no karma phala. When the lion is pouncing on its prey, it has no karma phala. Because its stimulus is fixed. Its response is fixed. That it cannot change. So how can you just make him responsible for his actions? No. All other beings, higher devatas, their response is also fixed. All the animals' response is also fixed. As a human being, Lord has given us the capacity to respond as per our choice. Response ability. That speaks of Purusha. And that makes a lot of difference. What's the difference? That nowadays they have started saying that the evolution was going on in a way, suddenly as a human it changed. The entire evolution, how it was going on? If each and every evolved being was trying to be stronger than its predecessor, isn't it? More strong, the strength. The age of dinosaurs, it was speaking of strength. And the human beings with the responsibility became smarter, not stronger. They started growing more neurons in their brain than cells in their muscles, isn't it? The response ability. So that's the thing which helps us what? Not just to depend on adrishta. Purushakara is very important. Adrishta, sometimes there's so fight, everything is on my fate, what to do. But I forget that previously what I did through my Purushakara is finding expression as adrishta now. I will just give an example that when I was in Sydney, from the Cancer Foundation of Australia, someone came to our center. They said, we are doing a research that those who are having cancer, how they respond to the situation in which they are in. And what we found that among Hindus, as you are Hindus, we came here, that there is a very common reaction. What's that? They generally say that nothing to do, that they are at peace with themselves. Most probably they are not concerned with what has happened. They have at peace, but sometimes we find they are not cooperating with the research, medical research. Why? They say that my fate, because of my fate, I am having this disease. I am quite ready to accept it. So the question of trying to just get rid of it and other things, I am not bothered. I have resigned to the divine. In a way, it's good that they are very at peace with themselves. But that attitude doesn't help us to perform any research. So what's your opinion about it? When I told, I think that's a very wrong way of understanding the idea of adrishta. That when I say my karma phala has resulted, I have done something for which I am having this disease, that shows my past has molded my present. But it is also true that my present is going to mold my future. What about that? That yes, my past has molded my present, but if in the present I sit idly without trying anything, my future will be still worse. Why not I use my present to mold the future? The resignation is good. Okay, my past has resulted in this, but in the present I can cooperate with the medical system. Try to have treatment. This is the present which is going to mold my future. So why just say that everything is adrishta? Purushakara and adrishta is related. So as a human being, God has given that faculty. So we can choose our response, and that's why the karma phala is something which belongs to the human, not to any other. All others just yield the results of what the karma they have done. That the new karma is built up only in the human body. That's what our scripture says. So here you will understand the idea of this Purusha, this capability to act in a situation as per the desired way. That's the manliness. And God is saying, I am that. In the entire process of evolution, it is me. Swami Vivekananda says a very interesting thing, that I can see everything, but can I see my own face? With my eyes, I'm seeing everything, but can I see my own face? No. For seeing my own face, I need a mirror. So God is all-powerful, omniscient, omnipresent, but He Himself doesn't know that. To know that, He needs a mirror. And the entire creation is a mirror. But first, that when I'm trying to see my own face, I may go to a very murky water, where I just see the outline. I cannot see my face exactly, so I'm not satisfied. I think of some better surface in which I will be more better reflected. Then I get a metal plate, but it is full of dust. Still, I am not satisfied. Then I must probably get a metal, shining metal. It's better. Then at last I get a mirror where my face is reflected properly. Now I am satisfied. So Swamiji is saying this entire evolution is just like the mirror of the Lord. The omniscient, omnipotent Lord wants to realize himself, and he is finding expression from the lowest microbe to the human being in all this creation. So human is the highest, where that clear mirror, even not all the humans, among this human, those who have cleansed their mind through spiritual practice, sadhana, the purity, that's why this purity is the essence of entire spirituality. Even in the Bible we find that line, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. So that's the pure mirror in which God sees his own reflection. For that this entire creation was there. He's seeing himself in the, the image of man, within the human psyche. And there his journey stops. He then he gets, that comes at peace with himself. Oh yes, I am the omniscient, omnipotent being. So here, this Paurusha speaks of that God's own endeavor in the lower beings in one form, in the human in another form, so that he realizes himself through his sport, through his lila. This is his entire lila going on, through which he realizes himself. So that's the Paurusha which has been spoken of here. So that's why we find that Swamiji is saying faith, faith, faith in yourself, faith in God. If you have faith in all the 33 million gods and in all the gods which the foreigners have brought in your midst and still have no faith in yourself, there is no salvation for you. What's the idea? That when I place God outside and think God is there, I am just a poor creature. I forget it is actually God who is manifesting through me. He is not out there. He is within me. In all my faculties, my intelligence, he is finding expression. As a child when I was born, I had my intelligence. From where I had? It is the Lord who has given me. All the faculties that I have, it is the Lord who has given me. Unless I have faith in that, and if I just pray to the Lord himself becomes helpless, because he is there sitting inside me through and is finding expression through all the faculties. Today we will end the class by trying to understand this Paurusha with a very funny story that in a village, suddenly at night, by the side of the village there was a river. And because of torrential rain, suddenly the dam started cracking. The mud dam by the side of the river, it cracked at certain points and the water started flowing in. And as it was in the dead of night, no one was aware, all was sleeping. A few villagers awoke and they saw what's happening. In no time, the entire village will be flooded. So they started running from door to door to make all aware that in no time the village will be flooded. Run. Whatever belongings you can have, just essentials you take and run. So all were fleeing the village. Now one person was a Krishna devotee. He had a very nice image of Krishna. He was holding onto the feet of Krishna and sitting. Now when the villagers told, run, he said, you need not bother about me. My God is there to save me. You please need not bother. So this all were running. And now the water level started rising. It was almost up to the knees. And now there were small children, the old person who cannot run. So to save them, the four-wheeler drives came. That still it can run through the water. The four-wheeler drive came. So I asked, those who cannot escape, please come. So all were boarding those four-wheeler drives. And these four-wheeler drives were taking them to the safe area, some highland area. And this person still was holding onto the Krishna and said, you need not bother. My Lord will save me. Water started to rise. It was almost to the chest level. The speedboat came. Those who were remaining, they got up. He didn't bother. He told, no, Krishna will save me. I'm sure. I am a devotee of Krishna. Lord is there. He has assured us that he will save us. So he will save me. The one who has resigned to him, he will save him. He will save me. Now, the entire village has vacated. The water level rose almost to that person's neck level. And now he's almost going to drown. And now, just for him, a helicopter came and threw a rope. So this is the last resort. Please come. So still he said, no, my Lord will save me. And at last, the water, the current was so strong, he was washed away, he drowned and he died. But after all, he was such a great devotee, He went to Golaka. He cannot go to any other place because after all he is the Lord's devotee. But after going Golaka, he was very, very, annoyed with the Lord. He felt that I was so much depending on him and he never came to save me. So when he went to Krishna in Golaka, he was hanging his face down, not talking to the Lord. The Lord said, "What happened?" He said, you never came to save me. I was so much dependent on you. I took refuge on you. I was waiting for you. And then Krishna said to him, "It is just to save you. I have sent the four-wheeler drive. I have sent your speedboat, and at last the helicopter with the rope. It is I who have arranged. The Lord has the goodwill within us. He has arranged. But you availed nothing." So that's the Purusha here, that he has given us all those faculties, the discriminative faculty of what is good, what is bad, the willpower to work as per our discriminative faculty. I know with my discriminative faculty what is good, what is bad, but sometimes I don't have the willpower to resort to good. I still continue with what is bad. So he has given us that willpower. He has given the faculty of visualizing, the ingenuity, that now to attain that goodness, what's the path I should take? So all these things Lord has given us. And I am not using them, and I am just sitting down and saying, "Lord, come and save me." Will he save me? No, that's why he's saying, within the human, I am the Purusha. Very important. So have faith in yourself, but at the same time be humble. That faith shouldn't make you arrogant. That is not your capacities. That when I say I am intelligent, I have the capacity to rule the world. You forget that intelligence is not you who owe that intelligence. You are born with that intelligence. It is something innate in you. It has been provided by the Lord. This is whatever faculties we have. So let us use it as a service, not as an arrogance to exploit others. That Lord has given me all these things. Let me use them as an instrument of the divine. And there it rests. God is working through me. I take all the faculties are there to take care of his creation. Just an example which we again and again. When the mother feels love for the child, is it the mother who is loving? No. She is helpless. She is bound to love the child. The God has created her in that way. All the mothers do that. If the mother knows that it is not me, it is the Lord who is loving the children, taking care of his creation through me. I am just a channel. Then what happens? Question of expectation doesn't come. I have done my duty, there it rests. The suffering, and the moment the expectation is not there, there is no suffering. I have done my best, Lord will take care of the rest. So that's the wonderful philosophy. So here also Purusha speaks of that. There's a faith in yourself, but that faith again is not based on arrogance. It is based on the fact it is the Lord who has given all the faculties. He is the Purusha. Through me who is working, I have to become the Nimitta. I just have to become the divine worker. The divine should work through me. And there it rests. Then from that, the question of surrender automatically comes. If he is working through me, why should I claim the results? I am just the pen in the hand of the author. The pen never says, I have written so many books. It is the author who is writing. I am just the pen in his hand. The question of enjoying the results of the action doesn't come. Here I resign. I am just an instrument, the nimitta in his hand. So there, see, this each and every word in this book, this is very important, is I am the Purusha among the human. So there that humility comes. Though the faith is there, but that faith is not in any way resulting in arrogance, but in humility. So with this, we stop our discussion today. We will continue with the remaining slokas again in the next class. Thank you all. Namaskar.